Shalom, good afternoon from Jerusalem, Israel. This is Mr. Lowell Joseph Gallen, founder of the Root and Branch Association Limited. Today is Tuesday, December 27, 2022 in the Gregorian calendar, and the third day of the 10th Israelite Hebrew month of Tevet in the Hebrew Israelite calendar year 5783. Welcome to episode 6 of our monthly Root and Branch Association seminar entitled Abortion, with abortion in quotation marks, and then in parentheses, Moloch, mass murder, child human sacrifice global industry, close parentheses, Chair Mrs. Cecily Routman. This seminar is part of our ongoing Jerusalem war crimes trials, which includes several others that we have because of the nature of the subject matter, which is the mass murder of unborn children. Unfortunately, what happened in World War II is a dress rehearsal for what is happening now. And just before I introduce you, one of the ways in which the current National Socialists in medicine and technology and many fields work is they count on the fact that what they're doing is so fantastic and bizarre to normal spectrum people that people edit out and say that it can't be because it isn't because it can't be. It isn't Tuesday because it can't be. They count on that. Now, slowly, awareness is spreading in the general population of what is being done, and that's good. That is why we call this seminar as part of our Jerusalem war crimes trials, and I hope to live to see Washington war crimes trials and London war crimes trials, where people who are involved in violating God's eternal moral laws are held to account. As a basic point to mention before I introduce you, the world operates under Noahide law, whether the world is aware of it or not. The fact that for 6,000 years, most of humanity has been operating in violation of Noahide law with nonstop rape, murder, and torture doesn't change the fact that it was the law and that people are obligated for punishment according to that law. The punishment for rape, murder, and theft is death. And this is operative whether someone says, well, I don't know it, I wasn't aware, or we passed a state assembly resolution. Even truth is not determined by majority vote. It's simply determined by God's Torah. So it doesn't matter even if the Supreme Court, the president, the Senate, the House would by unanimous vote decide that crimes are legal, they're illegal. The decisions are null and void. And the liability to prosecution under those laws doesn't go away. I didn't know. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And now, without further ado, let me hand over the mic to Mrs. Cecily Routman, the founder and chairman of the Jewish Pro-Life Association. Cecily, it's all yours.
Thank you, Lowell. Thank you for hosting us this morning. Yes, so I am Cecily Routman, founder and president of this organization called the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation. And I'm so happy to be here this morning, and I want to welcome our friends. This is going to be an open discussion. I need to share somewhat what's going on and what I want to talk about this morning, but I am pleased inviting you to join in the discussion this morning. So in today's program, I want to share what's been happening intensifyingly in the United States about the attack on pro-lifers using fake Judaism as a weapon. This has become so bad now and so dangerous that I feel that we really do need to talk about it. And then we're going to give you an update on our Israel Pro-Life Education Project. There's some new news to share. I'm so grateful for that. And I'll share some of our newer memes that you can find on our website, because we are a 501c3 educational nonprofit. And so our job is to promote life-saving solutions to unplanned pregnancy in the Jewish community by offering and providing much needed pro-life education to the Jewish community. So we have educational memes and articles and blogs that it's important for everyone to share. We also have Jewish-friendly pregnancy care and adoption referrals, and we have a healing program for Jewish women and men who suffer after abortion. So let's just get into it. I was sent several emails in the last couple of weeks about egregious, terrible opinion pieces on social media that attack pro-life Christians using this Judaism is a baby-killing cult business. And never in my wildest dreams did I think, when I started this in 2005, this organization, I heard one Jewish woman insisting that she had a religious right to a partial birth abortion. At that time, I thought, that sounds terrible. There needs to be a counter-Jewish voice in the public square. But I never imagined that that would be magnified so much in 2022. I think it's very dangerous. It incites Jew hatred, and even in the most good-natured people. So I want to share a couple of articles with you, and then invite some comments on those, and then share our response that we published this week. So let me see the screen share here. The first article I want to share is, alrighty, here we go. So this came out of Washington. AOC says so many faiths like Judaism permit abortion, so shut up theocratic fundamentalist Christians. And this was a tweet that somebody shared about this, criticizing this, thank God. She said, for some people, abortion is like a religion. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of those people. And if you don't agree with her, you're cool with living in a Christian theocracy. So lost her marbles, AOC claims abortion is a Jewish religious sacrament. And because the very aggressive Jewish pro-abortion advocates talk about this all the time, I really can't blame her for thinking this. In fact, up to 90% of Jews believe this as well, since it's been drummed into our heads through the media and our synagogues for decades now. I think it's so dangerous because this person is spreading these lies, and she has a very large platform. So just to finish with this, it says, so it's pretty disgusting to watch her try to use Jews to not just defend the right to abortion, but to argue that abortion is a good thing that is sanctioned by the Jewish faith. It's important to point out that she does not actually use the word sacrament. Judaism is not pro-abortion, and it's absolutely vile that she'd claim otherwise. So thank God for this person. And when people defend the right to life for the unborn, it's not evidence that we live in a theocracy. It's evidence that the unborn have inherent value as human beings. That's one story. And then the other, this one, called The Anti-Abortion Movement is More Conspiracy-Addled Than Ever. From rampant anti-Semitism to groomer panic, pro-life activists are knee-deep in the far-right fever swamp. It just grieves my heart when the abortion issue is so politicized, because it is a spiritual issue and it is not a political issue. But it is made that so that there's an ability to fundraise millions and millions and millions of dollars for political campaigns. So this is all about the politicization of this, very spiritual issue. And after this author attacks Lila Rose and Abby Johnson for their pro-life efforts, she goes into this whole issue about anti-Semitism. And I just want to read a little bit of this for you. In their crusade against abortion, they are synonymizing Judaism and baby killing. As hate crimes against Jews climb and as Jewish groups continue to challenge abortion restrictions on religious grounds, it's crucial to understand this hideous project. Anti-Semitism, as must be noted, has always been a part of the anti-abortion movement. Anti-Semitism, it must be noted, has always been a part of the anti-abortion movement. For decades, there have been pervasive myths. No, these are truths that Margaret Sanger was Jewish. Margaret Sanger was not Jewish. She was a Protestant. Biblical Jews sacrificed their children to the Canaanite deity Moloch, and the majority of abortion doctors are Jewish. Pro-life terrorists, she calls them pro-life terrorists, have disproportionately targeted Jewish doctors for murder and flooded abortion clinics with hate mail, calling, for instance, for Jewish doctors to be lynched and for there to be another Hitler. That has never happened. I have never read that. If that has happened, that is on some, far crazy website. I've never even run into that. I happen to agree with this statement. She talks about the blood libel, right, which was used as a justification to kill many, many Jews. And the fact that we are now being seen as a baby killing cult similar to the Satanic Temple, I think it's bringing the echoes of the past into the present. And I think that more anti-Semitism is going to be the result. It is now fairly common to hear pro-lifers talk about abortion as a religious right, as well as for them to blur it with other tales of their enemies perverting children. So this author is extremely deviant and twisted and is distorting every good and proper part of Judaism to make it evil. It's amazing. I think that she is probably post-abortive many, many times and is a very mentally ill person. So I don't want to go too much more into this. I'd like to ask for a few comments now from our gallery before I share our response that we posted this week. I'm going to stop the share. Okay. Does anybody want to talk about that? Hi, Ruth. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like libel to me, honestly. I mean, it's lies. I mean, it seems to me these people, this newspaper could have a lawsuit for all these lies and all these false statements. It's outrageous, really.
Yeah. I read the whole thing, and it's just filled with just all kinds of different things. I've looked at some of her other writings. She's just a far left, quote, advocate. She even said the Georgia election that went to Warnock still had suppression of voters. There's no proof of that. I don't know why she included that, other than the fact that Warnock, who's a minister, claims that his religion allows abortion. It requires abortion. Just the whole thing is that they're going after all the religious groups, because the religious groups are the ones that are most active in the pro-life movement. And it's the last domino to stop the pro-life movement. They tried to go after the pregnancy resource centers last summer. That didn't seem to work. They thought they'd scare everybody off. Now they're just going after the core supporters of the pro-life movement, which is mostly the Catholics and some of the evangelist groups. Some of the Christian groups, Methodists, are having a whole war within their denomination right now. Some of the Methodist churches are leaving because of the pro-abortion stance of their overall organization. So we're in the same battle. Of course, our numbers are, we have to keep pressing the fact and working with our local pro-life groups. I'm working very closely here in Casper with the pro-life movement in Casper and Wyoming, and letting them know, what the real Jewish stance is. And these false prophets will always come to the surface. So we just got to keep moving. And it's probably an indication, just like last summer with the Pregnancy Resources Center, that we're over the target. and they're getting very nervous because if people really look into the abortion issue, they're going to become pro-life, just like I did. It is killing a baby. You can't get around that. The only thing they're trying to say is, well, it's a religious right. I have a religious exemption to have a baby killed. And this thing about Jewish doctors, I have no clue how many abortionists are Jewish doctors. I don't think there's a lot of them compared to everything else. They're across the board. They're in it for money. And it's really weird that Margaret Sanger, who helped the KKK and Hitler even used some of the eugenics ideas from the United States. I mean, there's a lot of history of that. So it's just like everything else that they do. It's a false statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
The problem is that it's dangerous, and there's a lot of what this article is saying. It's not even it's anti-Jewish. It's Jew hate, and it's perpetrating these horrible ideas against Jews. And there aren't that many of us to defend ourselves. That's the scary thing. The Jewish organizations, many of the Jewish, quote unquote, Jewish organizations that fight anti-Semitism are not fighting anti-Semitism. That's another problem.
This article is an example of an article based on fallacy upon fallacy. Basically, they're essentially building for themselves a house of cards. All we have to do is talk the truth, and their arguments will fall apart.
Thank you. Yaakov, do you want to say something?
I'll say something.
Yes, Judy.
Cecily, I've said this years ago, before I knew about this group. Look, we were asking for this. I hate to say it, and it's not, a nice thing to say, but Jewish organizations should either stay out of it or be pro-life, because I knew this was going to happen years ago, that we were going to have a reputation of being baby killer Jews and Jewish doctors. I mean, you have even, I don't know how many you've seen the movie Jane, or there's different versions of it, but some of the main women that were sneaking off, one woman was doing it in her dorm room. There were Jewish women doing this kind of thing. So it's out there, and it hasn't been, condemned by the main Jewish community. Matter of fact, in some ways, it's been celebrated. And frankly, with the movie Jane, or different versions of it, the parents would have thrown her out of school. I know my parents would. Said, hey, you're going to college. This is not an abortion clinic. That's all. But the truth of the matter was a lot of pro-choice Jews that are very, very, very pro-choice. And I'm not surprised. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Judy. I was thinking this morning when I was preparing the show that we may have arrived at that remnant of Jews that are supposed to survive when the age of Mashiach arrives. So not in physical numbers, but certainly spiritually, I feel that we're just the remnant, and that actually, there's a good side and a bad side to everything in life, right? So I try to always look at the bright side, even in the midst of this mess. All right, so let me share the response that we published, and I had wonderful collaborators who are actually in this seminar today. They make me better. They make me a better writer, that's for sure. I have a lot of thoughts I want to share with people, but sometimes I need to have clearer thoughts. So I want to share this with you, and then I'll ask for comments. We published this on December 22nd, and we also have a Hebrew version. I've been using Google Translate, so I published a Hebrew version as well to share with your friends in Israel. And I will have the links to all of these web pages in the show notes as well. So this is what we published. Killing babies is anti-Jewish. Saving babies is not anti-Semitic. And Live Action published this And our friends at the Justice Foundation also received this. And I'm so grateful to them for feeling this is an important issue that we need to address. And I chose a graphic from the Baal Shem Tov: from every human being, there rises a light. Jewish abortion advocates and their confederates have reconstructed Judaism into their image of a baby-killing cult deserving constitutional protections. This deceit provides cover for scurrilous charges of anti-Semitism and racism targeted at Christian pro-life activists and educators, and in legal challenges to life-saving legislation. Notable are Audrey Claire Farley's "The Anti-Abortion Movement is More Conspiracy-Addled Than Ever" in the New Republic. So many faiths like Judaism permit abortion, so shut up theocratic fundamentalist Christians. That was from AOC. And the legal challenge to Indiana's Senate Bill 1 by Hoosier Jews for Choice. These attacks are dangerous and indefensible and must be repudiated. Christian pro-lifers are not anti-Jewish. Instead, they want to save unborn Jewish babies from torture and death. They are not racist, pointing out that abortion profiteers disproportionately target babies of color for destruction. During my 16 years as founder and president of the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation, I have found that Christian pro-lifers cherish and embrace Jewish tradition and its focus on protecting innocent life. They welcome Jewish allies because they know from reading their Bible that Judaism, the faith tradition in which Jesus was raised, was the first religion in human history to sanctify human life and to prohibit child sacrifice. Thousands of years later, Jewish teachings still provide both the cultural and theological foundations for protecting innocent human life in the womb, pro-life principles upon which people of faith believe and depend. The fountainhead is Genesis 9:6-7, which the rabbis elaborate upon as forbidding abortions to be performed by both Jews and Gentiles. He who spills the blood of man within man shall have his blood spilled, for in the image of God he made man. And you be fruitful and multiply on the earth and increase upon it. Rabbinic consensus in the Talmud interpreted the blood of man within man to be a growing human being in the womb of its mother. The penalty of having his blood spilled is death by the hands of heaven. Judaism prohibits destroying the life of innocent children in the womb, permitting it, not requiring it, as some falsely claim, only in very rare cases where the pregnancy threatens the mother's life, the mother's physical life. Today, this situation occurs in less than 1% of cases. Every pro-life law includes this exception. This fact invalidates the claim that legal protections for unborn citizens threaten Jewish religious practice. Judaism believes every life is precious and that God has a plan for each of us. Every person has value from conception to natural death. Frequent biblical references acknowledging the humanity of preborn babies and their vital role in Jewish posterity occur throughout the Jewish Bible. So too do references that forbid destroying unborn children. God told Abraham to be fruitful and multiply, Genesis 1:28. God told Jeremiah that he knew him in the womb and weaved him to be a prophet to the people, Jeremiah 1:5. God commanded, do not sacrifice your children to Moloch, Leviticus 18:21. God directed us to choose life, Deuteronomy 30:19. Many rabbinic prohibitions against abortion can be found in Marital Relations, Birth Control, and Abortion in Jewish Law by Rabbi David Feldman, copyright 1987. Rabbi Feldman points out that both Judaism and Christianity forbid abortion for economic reasons. Most abortions today are done for that very reason or used as birth control to avoid parental responsibility. Many women are pressured to use abortion against their natural instincts and will. This grave situation is all the more reason for a Jewish-Christian alliance to protect children and their mothers. We stand with our Christian brothers and sisters in defending life. Life-saving modern medical treatments and abundant help during pregnancy and afterbirth are available to women and families today. To insist that Jewish women will die because they lack access to legal child killing contradicts the reality that more Jewish lives are at risk from abortion than from laws that protect the lives of unborn children and safeguard the beauty of a mom giving birth to her child. Aggressive attacks from Jewish abortion crusaders incite violence toward all Jews, not just those in their mother's womb. We strongly denounce irresponsible rhetoric coming from anti-Semitic, racist abortion promoters who secretly celebrate every time a minority baby perishes. Jews and people of color must stop perpetuating generational genocide. They must stand for life. Our matriarch Rachel suffered hard travail when giving birth to Benjamin. Rather than having her son killed to save her own life, she gave him life. By choosing life, she gave us life. We are obligated to do the same. Do what is right and just. Rescue the wronged from their oppressors. Do nothing wrong or violent to the stranger, orphan, or widow. Don't shed innocent blood in this place. Jeremiah 22:3. Any Jew who suffers after an abortion experience is welcome to attend our healing program, Tikvat Rachel. And then, as I always close my blogs, may there be abundant peace from heaven and good life upon us and upon all Israel. Amen. Here's the Hebrew version. I'm so proud of it. So, okay. Yes, Rabbi, please share with us.
Yes, I noted that that article was published on liveaction.com. So congratulations. That's what we need when we make a statement, a Jewish statement, and then it's publicized by those who could carry the word further even. So that's precisely what we need. If more people could write articles, letters to the editor, things like that, and put them in media, if somehow it's, even if it's not in the mainstream media, if it's in a media that the mainstream media goes over to try to find something to complain about, they're going to start to notice opinions not exactly according to plan, so that's very healthy.
Yes, it's difficult to get the positive Jewish view out into the mainstream and legacy media. For example, the media outlet that published the really bad article declined to publish even a short letter in response from us. And it's been very difficult for us to get any kind of Jewish pro-life perspective published in any media in Israel as well, because this has become, as I said, a profit generating issue, reframed as healthcare or reproductive freedom for people. And if editors publish our work, they are going to lose their job, or they're at most, or at least be reprimanded, because the media outlets depend on advertising revenue. And most of that advertising revenue comes from Jewish organizations that are for choice. This happened to me years ago in our local Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle, when I wanted to publish a letter protesting a Planned Parenthood fundraiser at our Jewish Community Center. And the paper wouldn't publish it because the Jewish Community Center was a big advertiser of theirs. So I'm glad we have Hashem on our side, because we certainly, I think our friends here have often told me that we don't need money. We need the power of God behind us.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it already is behind us. We just have to stand up and let the wind carry us in the right direction.
Thank you, Rabbi. Do you want to share anything about the theological citations in our response?
Well, all good ones, very, very well. I'm not sure if you consider yourself one, but you're quite the Torah scholar. You picked up an appropriate verse in its time is a healing for a wound, So it's very apropos. The main thing is that people understand that it's not just there are those extremists who have a different view. It's that the normative view is not what you're reading right now. If you like to read the mainstream media, if people knew that the normative mainstream view in Judaism is not what people are saying things without proof, so then the reaction will be not just that they agree with it, but also they agree with it, but like a pain of guilt because I agree with it, but this person's clearly lying. Why can't they say what I agree with? From a extremist pro-abortionist perspective, why can't they say what I agree with without lying? Because they need lies to get through this. If you're an ethical, moral person, and or you read the writings of the ethical, moral God, so it all becomes a problem. There's a, yeah, it just, again, it's all the abortionist view is based on fallacies after fallacy. So we just need more truth, and the key is that even a person who supports abortion should have the feeling they are being lied to by their own side. Okay, so that's the level of truth we need. So right now it's easy for people to say no, you're canceled, and they consider it as if they debunked something. But you can't really debunk something unless you use evidence against it. Otherwise, that's just called canceling. And so that's what's currently is occurring in many areas of the mainstream, and that's what we got to fight against.
Yes, thank you, Rabbi. Does anybody else want to share about that before we move on to our update about our Israel pro-life education project? Okay, then. I will be sending that piece around to other editors and see maybe somebody else will publish it. It's very interesting because, again, the money issue becomes pertinent. If you're a big advertiser in an outlet, a media outlet, they'll be happy to publish a piece for you. But if you're not, they're not so eager to do that because they're trying to use their space profitably. But we do have some friends out there that will publish some of our pieces. Now, moving on to the Israel project, I know we've talked before about the need for grassroots volunteer activity to promote the growth of this and to not focus so much on the need to pay expensive marketers to do the work for us. And it's been interesting dealing with that. So we have our wonderful volunteer in Israel who has begun reaching out to the conservative members of the Knesset, the newer elected officials there, with a flyer that we created. And even though we're not political, we are trying to test the waters to see who would support our work and even open up the conversation politically there in Israel. That's happening. So we are expanding our outreach there. I've been continuing to transcribe as I mentioned, the blog and a lot of our graphics, the English into Hebrew, preparing to launch those through some kind of creative outlet and social media posting in Israel. And I'm getting better at it. I'm getting more efficient at it. And I did also connect with a digital marketer just this week through LinkedIn, and we have a Zoom meeting next week, and he seems interested in our work, and I already told him up front that it needs to be reasonably priced, and he needs to support what we're doing, and he's very willing to talk with us. So we are continuing to look at moving forward with this. I know people have said that with the new conservative government in Israel, that the mood is changed there, and now we just have to introduce these ideas, if we can, there, so people learn the truth. As you said, Rabbi, the lies have become so normalized now that people, they don't know what the truth is anymore, I think. That's part of the problem. I want to show you some of our memes that we've recently made. So here's the English version. Abortion is the ultimate form of child abuse. Judaism demands a high level of compassion and mercy for the vulnerable and defenseless. No other person is as vulnerable as the defenseless child in the womb. And then the Hebrew version. And then this one we just put up this week. Jewish law demands that we take unprecedented steps to prevent the execution of an innocent person. And then there's a picture of an unborn baby executed without pain medication by poisoning, starvation, strangulation, dismemberment, cranial puncture, and dissection for organ harvesting. And then in Hebrew, this one we did a couple weeks ago. I really love this meme. All that the Holy One, blessed be he created only for his honor, as it is written. All that is called in my name and for my honor, I created it, I formed it, I even made it. And it's a picture of a very young baby in the womb. It's a beautiful picture, originally taken by a brilliant photographer. And then that's in Hebrew. And then this one's kind of interesting. When someone is pregnant, she is not expecting a child. She already has one. She's not going to be a mother. She already is a mother. The baby is not on the way. The baby has already arrived. If we are going to change the way society treats unborn children, we have to change the way we talk about them. And this was provoked by one of our supporters sending me these questions, and this was his question. How can it be that there are many people who mourn baby deaths with unspeakable grief, and yet these same people advocate for the intentional killing of unborn babies via abortion, as well as babies born alive from botched abortion? So the answer is it's the way we've been taught to think and speak about unborn children. They need to be rehumanized and their lives revalued in society. And then there's the Hebrew version below. So we have many, many memes, and I'm hoping to work with a marketer in Israel to use all the creative work that we've produced over the past so many years. I want to invite everybody to visit our website, jewishprolifefoundation.org, and you can learn more about our work there. You can see our healing program, Tikvat Rachel. If you're suffering after an abortion experience, you can learn more about that and sign up for our next healing opportunity. If you're Jewish and abortion-minded, you can check out our Jewish-friendly pregnancy care and adoption resources there. If you're rethinking your position as a pro-choice Jew and you want to learn more, please visit our library, where we have lots of information and graphics to educate you about the life-affirming Judaism that is our heritage and our future. We have a PowerPoint called Judaism, the Original Pro-Life Religion. It addresses all the different aspects and all the different arguments and all the different views that have come to bear on us about this. And there's so much information in that PowerPoint, lots of quotes from righteous rabbis, parallels between what happened in Germany as Jews were dehumanized, stripped of personhood, tortured and murdered, much of it for profit, by the way. Same thing goes with babies in the womb today. We talk a lot in that PowerPoint about the viability and the actual evidence and proof of growing babies in the womb, despite the fact that many people still think and are told, I mean, very intelligent people still think that, babies are mere water or part of the mother, or, I mean, it's just silliness. And intelligent Jewish people need to come up to speed and learn the truth about these things, even if it causes, emotional discomfort and cognitive dissonance. You can learn all about that in our PowerPoint. We also have our videos that we've been producing. They're all on the website as well. You can get in touch with me. My contact information is on the website as well, and learn about what we're doing. I'll be happy to talk with you personally at length and see what you can do to help our cause. Okay, Lowell, I think I'm done for this morning. I'm going to invite the gallery to share any more thoughts that you might have, and then we'll turn it back to you.
Questions, comments, where anyone can unmute themselves. Go right ahead.
Cecily, God bless you. What you are doing is it's raising the good angels back up to God, and he's sending good angels back to us. I know I'm not saying that right, Rabbi, but you're putting out a lot of the right stuff, and God bless you for it.
Yeah, don't worry, God speaks English. I do have a suggestion, but for the viewers, if you wanted to write an article that was pro life, but you were like concerned, where do you publish it? Perhaps submit it to Cecily, and she could make sure it gets published. Work with you. She's very good about this. She follows up, works with the person. If there's a mistake, she points it out, and so that it's less embarrassing and more effective, the final product. So if we have more voices, not just the rabbis, but the lay people. So okay, let me put it another way: the voters, the potential donors. If these kind of people are also writing articles as well, so then that becomes much more stronger in the perspective of some people's minds who we need to be able to change. So there's an opportunity. Cecily, where could people submit a blog post or articles for possible publication?
Oh, they can email me, Rabbi, at Cecily@jewishprolifefoundation.org.
It's also available on your website, correct?
Yes, that's right. Thank you. And I also appreciate when my errors are pointed out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, of course, that's very infrequent. So.
Rabbi Friedlander has been very supportive and helpful to us. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Hashem. Hashem means God, so just to clarify.
Sorry about that. I'm muted. Cecily, thank you for another illuminating program. Want to add, I'll try to keep the comments brief. After World War II in Germany, there were no Nazi collaborators. Everybody was a resistance fighter. Nobody knew anything, and everybody had been involved in the resistance. There is a song from Hello, Dolly. I like the Carol Channing version, the old version. I'm for motherhood, America, and a hot lunch for orphans, and who isn't? Very soon, the descendant of David will appear. Well, he's here in every generation, and according to the rabbis I'm listening to, where the landing lights of the redemption are flashing on and off as the plane's coming in for a landing. That's planet Earth with the human race. And he will rebuild the temple, regather the tribes, and reestablish the monarchy. Either he does or he doesn't. That's how we'll know who the real one is. It's not saying, well, are you a good cook of onion soup? Either you cook it or you don't. Okay, let me see. Hello, Julia, child. Here it is. At that time, everyone will have been in favor of motherhood, America, and a hot lunch for orphans. Everyone will have been an anti-Nazi resistance fighter. Everyone will have been a partisan. As Rav Kook said, in order for the world of truth to appear, the world of lies has to be destroyed. And in order for the world of lies to be destroyed, remember those convoys going over from America to England with the Liberty ships? My father, as a young military officer, was assigned to those ships. You get the U-boats to surface, and then you blow them out of the water. They had the depth charges too. So the U-boats are surfacing all over the world. All sorts of masks are coming off. People are doing things, and corporations, foundations, governments, where actually believing they can get away with them, they're actually starting to speak openly what they're doing. And or people in a cult and with bizarre Gnostic and beliefs for some reason feel that before committing a crime, they have to somehow inform their victims with symbols. Symbolism will be their downfall. That's a quote, I'm not sure I'm quoting. And to just come out and say, this is what we're doing. In fact, who did I read? Steve Rodan, who has our monthly In Jewish Blood seminar on the labor Zionist Nazi connection from 1933 to 1963, following up on the work of Perfidy by, what was his name in Hollywood? I have the book, Perfidy. And what is his name who wrote the transfer agreement? Edmund Black. Perfidy was, I'm supposed to know, he's a very, Ben Hecht, said that for some reason, the National Socialist Amalekites, before they murdered us from the survivors, they had to give a philosophical disquisition. It's not just to pull the trigger or put the Zyklon B gas in the pellets. And they had to tell the victims why we are murdering you and why this is the right thing to do. Well, they're going to be dead. What's the difference? But that's a very good question. Why did these people feel they had to do that? So we're in a similar situation now. All the masks are falling worldwide. We have a great deal of what are known as Jewish institutions are in classical. I have a rabbi here. You can confirm if I've got this right. We would classify as Erev Rav. And among the Gentiles, Amalekites. They come right out and say all sorts of things which have nothing to do with, in the Jewish community, authentic Jewish teachings at all. And then they claim to speak in term about as Jews. And then when they're confronted, say the most un-Jewish Jews, the ones in the Erev Rav, how can you say that? That's anti-Semitism, where these people who rebel against the God-land Torah and people of Israel are the biggest anti-Semites. Let's leave aside anti-Jewish Jews. No, that's the defense is like the expression, patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. Who said that? Patrick Henry, somebody. You could say religion is the last refuge of the scoundrel, or if you're a scoundrel of Jewish origin, when you're confronted for your crime, whatever it is, that's anti-Semitism. So we have a situation where up is down and down is up and in is out and out is in. So in terms of the programming from Jerusalem that I do, and I met so many good people I met through Hanani Weitzman, that's how I met Cecily. We're here to give you God's party line as we understand it from rabbis reflecting an authentic Torah perspective. A person would say, well, I don't agree with that, but at least you should know there's a that. I've had Christians tell me, they would ask me a question like, well, what do you think of the Trinity, or whatever it was? And I'll never forget one who said to me, before you answer, promise me you'll tell me the truth. Don't be afraid. I'll like it, I won't like it, and that today's dialogue is tomorrow's disputation, is the day after tomorrow's pogrom, which is the historical record. And you have to be afraid. See, what her point was this: if I don't know where you stand, I have no frame of reference. Someone somewhere has to give me that old time religion. All right. So at least I have some point. Say, is that what the Torah teaches according to our sages? Fine. I like it. I don't like it. But I have to know there's an it. So we have a Midsummer Night's Dream masquerade. Remember in the musical Phantom, Masquerade, the song about masquerade, the world will never find a masquerade. All the masks are coming off now. It's very important because the moment the descendant of David comes, and we'll know he's him because he builds the temple, regathers the tribes, and reestablishes the monarchy, and teaches the nations the Noahide law, and they stop fighting, and they recognize him. It's not very complicated. I have a rabbi here, the tafrit, the dinner menu, not a la carte. Either he does or he doesn't. Then all of a sudden after that, everybody was an anti-Nazi partisan. Everybody was in favor of motherhood, American hot lunch wars. But did you say or write that? Got the record here. And what's the purpose of all this? I've read charitable rabbis who say the punishment for the wicked will not be death. The death will be seeing ourselves as we really are. And the shaming a person, or shaming yourself, is death. That the I said and did that, I want to be dead. That's even worse than being dead. You're dead, you're dead. But to live each day with the shame and humiliation of saying, I said and did this, I didn't know better. That's that's a charitable view of the punishment of the wicked. Okay, so you can't change what people say or don't say, the lies we tell, whoever we may be. We can say, okay, as far as we understand it, this is that old time religion. This is the authentic Torah-based position, whatever the issue is. And you can believe what you want or you don't want. But our job is to tell you what the party line is from the perspective of the Torah as understood by our sages. That's what I understand is the purpose of these 30 seminars I run each month. Okay, so having said that, so I want to thank our participants from mostly from the United States. I guess I'm the only one here from Jerusalem, Israel. And always to thank Cecily for the work she's been doing, to thank Hanania Weitzman for introducing yours truly to Cecily. And now I started this about 6 months ago. My new job is Rainmaker. Please support our work. To our viewers and listeners, please support yours truly's work to build our Hebrew Bible-based Fifth Israelite Monarchy broadcasting network from Jerusalem, Israel, to honor the Godland, Torah, and people of Israel and all humanity. Click on the link below. For those Bible scholars out there, Fifth Israelite Monarchy, Daniel chapter 2, verse 44, go look it up, and with the commentaries in Hebrew and English, go to Machal Mamre, that's a good source. And please support the work of Mrs. Cecily Routman and the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation. The links will be provided below the video, and all the videos and the Rumble sub-channel we have for the seminar. Thank you very much. We wish you shalom from Jerusalem, Israel, a happy Gregorian New Year next Motzei Shabbat and Sunday, and we will see you in January 2023.